The Midnight Wraith. The night air of Gotham was usually thick with shadows, but tonight, a different kind of dread hung heavy. The bat signal cut through the storm clouds, leading Batman to an abandoned, flooded shipping warehouse. He knew it was a lure, but the trail of disappearing officers demanded his attention. He dropped into the echoing silence, scanning the dilapidated structure. "Too easy," he muttered. A jarring laugh, high, maniacal, erupted from the rafters. The Joker, perched high above, grinned down, flanked by a figure clad in obsidian robes, the sorceress Vespera. "Welcome to the grand finale, Batsy," the Joker cackled, throwing a vial that shattered at Batman's feet, releasing a swirling, inkai vapor. Vespera chanted a spell, her voice sharp and ancient. The vapor didn't dissipate. It coiled, grabbing hold of the dark night. The pain was immediate, bone-deep, searing away the man and leaving only the host. Batman's suit ripped and withered as the dark magic consumed his soul, transforming him into a vessel of pure malice. When he stood again, the stench of death preceded him. He was the Wraith of Gotham. Gotham shattered. Where once there was fear, now there was only sheer, unadulterated terror. The Wraith tore through the city skyline, a shadow with substance, ripping the very hope from the hearts of those he encountered. Sirens were drowned out by screams. The Joker watched from a high balcony, applauding madly. Deep beneath Wayne Manor, in the sanctuary of the Batcave, Alfred Pennyworth watched the live feeds flicker with horror. This was not the Batman he knew. This was a crisis beyond physical strength. He activated the emergency encrypted network, a protocol reserved for the absolute end of the world. The signal cut through dimensions and realities, landing squarely in the sanctum sanctorum of the master of the mystic arts. Dr. Stephen Strange materialized moments later in the Batcave, his cloak swirling with intent. "You called upon powers few in this reality, understand, Alfred. What horror awaits us?" Dr. Strange quickly assessed the dark magic's poisoning Gotham. He needed immediate support. "We require might to match this malice. I will contact the League." A shimmering projection appeared, the stern faces of Superman and Wonder Woman. The crisis was global, the stakes absolute. The three pillars of the League, Superman, Wonder Woman, and the Flash, converged instantly on Gotham. They found the Wraith in the financial district, absorbing the energy of fear. Superman flew directly into the conflict, followed closely by the shield of the Amazon princess. The resulting impact was catastrophic. Superman struck the Wraith, but the skeletal fiend barely registered the physical blow, unleashing a wave of necrotic energy that cracked the pavement. This Batman fought with the cold indifference of a demon, focused only on consuming life. Above the fray, Dr. Strange and Vespera clashed, arcane fire meeting eldritch shadow. Strange conjured dazzling shields of light, desperate to contain the dark influence, while Vespera laughed, fueled by the destruction below. "You cannot save the soul that has already been swallowed, sorcerer." The fate of the Dark Knight, and perhaps all reality, rested on the outcome of this epic convergence of heroes and horrors. The battle was joined. Might, magic, and the desperate hope of a loyal butler versus the Wraith, the Joker, and the ancient malice of Vespera. The battle raged across the rooftops of the financial district. The Midnight Wraith, a figure of muscle and dread, lunged for the fleeing hero. Suddenly, a protective shimmering shield materialized, stopping the attack cold. Dr. Stephen Strange stood at the shield's center, his cloak of levitation billowing, hands already weaving intricate, fiery mandalas. "Step away from the light, Bruce," Strange commanded, his voice echoing with ancient authority. Beside Strange, Diana stood ready, her lasso of truth glowing, poised to restrain the possessed hero if the spell failed. But Strange wouldn't fail. He focused his will, drawing power from the very fabric of reality. By the vows of Vishanti, I command the shadow to recoil. Luminos ignis maxima. The golden wave of pure magical light struck the wraith like a thunderbolt. The skeletal armor cracked, and a horrifying shriek, more spectral than human, ripped from his throat. This wasn't pain, it was the agony of separation. Vespera, watching from a nearby abandoned bell tower, screamed in frustration. Foolish mortal! You cannot undo the binding of the Shadow Lords. Vespera cackled, her eyes burning purple as she began drawing immense power to conjure a countercurse. A destructive purple bolt aimed straight at Strange. Before she could finish the incantation, Diana was upon her. Back on the street, the dark magic possessing the wraith began to tear itself away. It was a chaotic, oil-black vortex, tearing the flesh and cowl, revealing flashes of the familiar, exhausted man underneath. The power was resisting, howling its defiance. Strange raised both hands, his eyes narrowed in deep concentration. He did not fight the power, he corralled it, with a final word of arcane power, sequestra dimensionale. The vortex shrunk rapidly, compressing into a pulsating, obsidian sphere floating just between his palms. As the dark sphere vanished into the magical realm, a cascade of luminous, ethereal light burst forth from the void where the wraith had stood, washing over Gotham. These were the freed souls, returning instantly to their rightful owners. Vespera, exhausted and pinned by Diana, suddenly screamed a terrible final scream. Deprived of the souls that fed her longevity and power, Vespera crumpled, aging decades in mere seconds. Her dark clothes fell limp around her suddenly frail body, and the life faded from her eyes. Meanwhile, on a lower level, the Joker, seeing his plan fail and his partner defeated, tried to make a break for it through a maintenance hatch. The Joker let out a frustrated wail as he was hoisted upward, ready for transport back to Arkham. The battle was over. Strange descended, finding the true cost of the Wraith's magic. Batman lay on the shattered rooftop, his cowl shredded, completely unconscious, protected only by the wreckage that had broken his fall. Strange gently checked his pulse, strong but deeply depleted. Gotham was safe. The Midnight Wraith was gone. The Joker was locked away, and Vespera's foul influence was permanently extinguished. The dark night had passed, and the exhausted hero, having survived the impossible possession, would eventually awaken to a city that had survived alongside him.